So, I want to do a quick webinar today to talk a little bit about the Maryland SAVES program. So, this is really only something to be concerned about if you're a Maryland based business, or specifically for most of my clients, Maryland based shops. So, just want to talk about what it is. I've had a couple people ask about it, but I feel like a lot of people don't know about this at all because, like a lot of things that Maryland does, they don't do a great job of getting this information out to people. And another reason of why I want to do this is there's actually a deadline coming up here pretty soon that I wanted to make sure that people were aware of. So, this Maryland Saves program is something that they announced, I think, in the summertime. And I wanted to do a webinar on it, but the details then and still now are a little bit murky. But wanted to kind of go into what we know and what you need to be doing. So Maryland, I guess a couple years ago, tried to pass a law where it actually would penalize employers for not offering retirement plans, essentially forcing you to set up a retirement plan for your employees, as well as contribute money into that retirement plan. But in that sense, it didn't actually pass and never came into law. And so what they came up with is, I guess, kind of a little bit of an in between thing here where you don't get penalized for not enrolling in this Maryland Saves program, but you actually get an added benefit here if you do. So for those of you, that aren't aware of what this is, I'm going to kind of be showing you a little bit about this website and kind of what you need to do depending on what your specific situation is. So this Maryland Saves program is not actually run by the state itself. It's run from, an investment advisor or something like that. The way to think about this is very similar to like a Maryland 529 program, right? You get a Maryland tax deduction for putting money into a 529, but Maryland doesn't actually run at 529. I think T. Rowe Price runs that for Maryland. The Maryland Saves program is very similar, right? We don't actually do it through the state of Maryland, but the state of Maryland is going to give us a tax benefit. So the situation here is, and you can see on the screen, I'm on marylandsaves.com, right? So take a look at that. This is where we're going to kind of be going down through what you need to be doing here and what this is. And so you can read kind of some more details on this, but what this is if you already have a retirement plan set up, then there's really nothing that you need to do besides register and let Maryland Saves know that you have it. Now, if you don't offer a retirement plan, you can also enroll in one here so that you're covered. But like I said before, you do not get penalized for not doing this. So why the heck would anyone do this? So what Maryland is doing here is, if you can see down here on this last line, is registration is free and there's no charge to employers. In fact, the state will waive the $300 annual registration fee for employers that sign up. And this is exactly why we're doing this now. Because as all of you know, if you do business in Maryland, every year you have to file that Maryland personal property tax return, as well as send them their $300 annual fee that goes along with it. What Maryland is saying is, if you register and either set up a qualified plan or you already have a qualified plan set up, they're going to waive that $300 fee. And we need to do this by December 1st. And this is the frustrating thing, is this website's only been live for maybe a couple weeks now. And the deadline is coming up here, and I'm recording this on the 20th. So about 10, 11 days before we kind of run out of time. Now, why is this important to do? Well, we don't want to pay that $300 annual fee. This registration takes, depending on what it is, 2 minutes to maybe 10 if you have to actually set some stuff up. But you're going to be able to save the $300 annual registration fee. Pretty cool. So how do we actually do this? So on this website here, if you take a look, so you're going to go here to employers, and then you're going to go to program details, right? So if you're trying to sign up here. Now, what Maryland has said is they have been sending out access codes to people. Right now, I don't think that I've had a single person that has an access code. Maybe a couple people, but it looks like they're really behind on access codes. But if you do have an access code, if you've already got that access code, then you can see over here on the right-hand side, you can click on here and you put your SDAT number and then you put your access code. Right? So Hunt, what is my SDAT code? So SDAT SDAT number is your State Department of Assessments and Taxation. That number is right off of your personal property tax return. And so if you click on this one, if you have this access code, you'd put your SDAT number, which on the other website, there's actually a little link so you can look up what that number is if you don't have it. And then you put your access code here and you click begin. So all this is doing here is if you have this SDAT number and your access code, they're going to have your name, contact information, and you're already going to be kind of starting on this. However, if you do not have this access code already, then you're not going to be able to do it this way. And so if you don't have your access code already, you kind of fall into one of two different categories. The first one is if you already offer a retirement plan. So if you already offer a retirement plan, then you don't really care about any of these. You can click right down here, already offer a retirement plan. And so if you go here, you can put your SDAT number and your access code. Now, I clicked on the wrong thing because this is, again, still an access code. So I'm going to go back here. So this one here, all of you have access code, whether you have a retirement plan or not, all going to be done through here. Now, most of you guys are not going to be able to do that because, like I said, you don't have an access code. So, like I said, here you go. If you want to look up your SDAT number, you can do that here. If you did not receive an access code and want to enroll your business, click here. So if you do not have an access code and you do not currently offer a retirement plan and you want to get signed up through Maryland Saves, it's very straightforward. You go down through here, you put in your business name, street address, federal ID number, SDAT number. Again, there's a little bit link on here of where you can look this stuff up. Number of employees, and then down here it says CAPTCHA, which you just have to put in two random figures. So I went down through and I did this to figure out what happens. So if you're trying to set up for Maryland Saves and you don't have this access code, you need to register it right here. And then what ends up happening is they send you an email saying, hey, we see that you've registered. We will contact you within the next 45 days with your access code. Once you get that access code, then you can go on here and sign up to enroll in the Maryland Saves program. Now, we'll talk about what the Maryland Saves program and what you actually have to do in a second. But for a lot of clients, you're in one of two situations. You either already have a retirement plan or you don't actually need to have one and you can certify your exemption. So it's a little bit hard here because I can see my logo is on it. But if you see in the top right-hand side here, you can click on Certify My Exemption, okay? So click on Certify My Exemption. So if you already received an access code, remember you go to this other place, right? Essentially, if you already have the access code, you won't have to fill any of this stuff out because Maryland already knows. This screen is this for people that are just trying to, certify your compliance or claim a filing fee waiver. So you can look down here and see there's a couple situations where you're already exempt. You don't need to do this, and you're just going to get your $300 filing fee. So the first option is going to be if you're a federal government agency or unit, which obviously none of you listening are probably that. So these other ones are really going to be our other options here. So let's see here. First one on here. So I offered a qualifying retirement program to my employees during the preceding 2 calendar years. So what this means is, let's say that you had a 401k 8 months ago and you stopped doing it. As long as you had a retirement plan in the last 2 years, you're exempt. You do not need to set up if you do not want to. You could just click on this one, put in the business information. You're going to get a waiver and you're going to get your $300 credit. Now, for a lot of people, because it's a great benefit and it's a great way to keep employees, also a great tax deduction as well, a lot of my clients already offer a qualified retirement plan to the employees. It does not mean that all of your employees are participating in that retirement plan. But if you already offer a Roth, a simple, a 401k to your employees, then obviously just click this and you're done. Another one here is my organization has not been in business at all times during the calendar year and the preceding calendar tax year. So what this is, it's a little bit tricky here because some people think this is a shutdown or something like this, which I guess it probably could be. But if your business has not been around more than 2 years, then you automatically get an exemption as well. Now, this one down here, my business does not have any W-2 employees. This is a really important one because remember what we're trying to save here. We're trying to save on this $300 annual report filing fee, which obviously your shop has to pay for when it does its personal property tax. But if you remember, if you have a rental LLC, if you have another small business, if you have a rental car company, and all of those are registered in Maryland, you're paying the $300 fee for all of your LLCs in Maryland. So you also need to be doing this waiver for your other LLCs, your rental car, whatever it is. Now, you do not need to have a retirement plan because let's say that you own your shop, you own the real estate, and you're just paying rent to yourself. That rental LLC does not have any employees, right? You're the sole owner. No one takes wages out of it. And in that situation, for your rental LLCs or these other small businesses that you have, all you would need to do is say, hey, my business does not have any W-2 employees. Again, fill out your information here and you're all done, right? And so this is a huge savings. Let's say that you have 4 businesses in Maryland. You're obviously going to do it for your shop and the 3 other entities that you have. It's going to save you $1,200 a year of not having to pay that $300 fee to Maryland, which is awesome. For a couple minutes of our time, it's just really is super simple. And I already went down through and did this. So, obviously we offer a retirement plan. So I went down, filled this out, certified that my business offers a qualified retirement plan, fill out the business information name, again, number of employees, this captured down at the bottom, and then you get this little thing. So what will happen is you submit that you have this exemption, whether you don't have employees or you already offer a retirement plan, and they say, hey, we got the claim on it. We will share that you have provided this, and the state is going to issue you with an exemption certificate. Now, we don't really know what this exemption certificate looks like because this is really in its infancy of this. But they have your email, they have your mailing address. So we have to imagine that they're going to email you some sort of thing of saying, hey, attach this to your property tax return at the end of the year, or we're already going to have on note that you don't have to pay the $300 fee. But yeah, if you already have a retirement plan or are doing it for a rental LLC, this is it, right? It's very quick, very easy. And if you're computer savvy, can do this in all of about 30 seconds. Super, super straightforward. Now, the last one on here that I wanted to mention is I do not use an automated payroll service or systems. I do not use an automated payroll system or service. I don't think that very many people listening to this are going to have this option on here. So this does not mean that your payroll is, not fully automated where you still have to put in hours and stuff like that. What they're saying is if you do your payroll really, really old school, meaning you manually calculate what the taxes, withholding, and all that should be, then you're exempt from there. Now, that's great that you do this. You get exempt from this. On the flip side, if you're still doing payroll manually on it, you really need to just go hire a payroll service or QuickBooks or something because that's a whole lot of work to not really save much money on it. But again, if you don't have that, you're doing this manually, then click on that and you're done and you're all set. So for those of you that already offer a retirement plan, are doing this for an associated LLC that doesn't have any employees here, this is where you're going to certify your compliance. This is where you're going to do your claim to be able to tell them and you're done, right? You certify this, you get the confirmation email that you're all done. We wait for that waiver. We're all set. Now, where this is important is remember December 1st is the deadline on this, right? So you have, a little bit more than 10, 11 days to do this. Make sure you do this by December 1st. As of right now, they're saying December 1st is the deadline on it. I wouldn't be surprised if they extended this because a lot of people don't even know this program exists. But on the flip side, they're probably not super excited to give out these $300 credits. So, they might not extend this. You don't want to delay because it is just that easy to do. So let's say that you do not have a retirement plan and you actually need to get one set up. So obviously, if you don't have a retirement plan and you want to get something set up, we always recommend a simple IRA to start off with. Gives you the tax benefits on it. But, if you need to get something set up now, you can also set up through Maryland Saves. So what you would do on the Maryland Saves here, I'm going to go back to the details. So again, if you do not have an access code, but you do need to enroll in Maryland Saves, you would click here to request. And so if you remember before, we went up here to certify my exemption. Down here is where we're going to fill all of this stuff out. Like I said, if you go through and you fill all this stuff out, they send you that email saying that they'll contact you in 45 days to actually set this up. I've not had a client do this, and so I'm kind of just going to have to speak in general terms on the way that this works, because it's going to be slightly different depending on how they actually roll this out. But here's the idea on what Maryland Saves is and what you need to be kind of aware of if you're going to sign up for Maryland Saves. So Maryland Saves is a employer-sponsored retirement plan, meaning that at the end of the day, if you're the owner of the business or you're the shop owner here, you're going to be responsible to kind of administer this program. However, there is no fees for the employer to do so. You do not need to pay an annual fee to have this plan, and you also don't need to offer any sort of match or anything like this. You just need to offer it to your employees. If they decide, hey, I want to take X portion of my payroll, you're going to have to deduct that money and remit that money for them. Now, what is the Maryland Saves retirement program? Like, what is the actual retirement plan that we're doing here? So the Maryland Saves program is a Roth IRA. And so what a Roth IRA is it allows your employees to contribute after-tax dollars into the Roth IRA. We don't get a tax deduction for it, but the nice side about a Roth IRA is you can more or less put money in, take it out without having any of the penalties that you would on a simple IRA or a 401k. So what happens is, let's say that we've already got our access code and we're enrolling, right? We don't offer a retirement plan. We have employees. We just don't have one. So you need to register for this. And then what it's going to do is it's going to contact your employees in one way, shape, or form. They have at that point 30 days to either opt in or opt out of this program. And so let's say that you set all this stuff up because, hey, you're in the employer. You need to set this up if you want your $300 annual credit. It doesn't cost you any money. So now what's going to happen is it's going to contact all of your employees. It's going to say, just to let you know, your employer has enrolled in Maryland Saves program. Here's a little bit about the details of what it is. How much of your paycheck would you like to contribute to this program? If you do not change anything, if your employee ignores that emails, they don't sign up, by default, it's going to automatically deduct 10% out of their wages going to this retirement account. Now, if you change it and the employee didn't set that, you could actually get in trouble. Because one of the rules is, hey, unless your employee says otherwise, you're responsible to take 10% out of their check, which is the part about this which I'm a little bit kind of annoyed with is it feels like that Maryland thinks that people aren't saving for their retirement because, employers aren't offering this, when in reality, a lot of people aren't saving for their retirement because they don't feel like that they have the money on a weekly basis to do so. And so by defaulting to a 10% withdrawal, if someone's not ready for that, it's going to be pretty annoying that that's taken out of their check. Now, like I talked about before, it is a Roth IRA. So if they take it out, they could take it right back out of the account and put it back in a bank account. But just be mindful of that. So now that the employees get the notification, they can either opt in or opt out of it. It's kind of all up to them. So let's say that you wanted to set this up to get your $300 credit. You offer it to all your employees and all of them decline on it, right? I think they're going to get an email to have a portal. All of them go down through there and say, you know what? We don't want to do this. It's not something we're interested in. We just want to opt out altogether. Then fine, you're done. You offered the program. You technically have it, even though no one is participating. You're in the good graces of the state of Maryland. There's nothing you have to deduct. Now, the only thing is anytime that you have a new employee, you have to offer to them as well. Okay. Now, if you do have people that sign up, obviously you have to figure out how much their deductions are, what they want to put in there, and get all that stuff set up through payroll. So it's not a bad program, I wouldn't say, right? Because it doesn't really cost any money here. But, if you don't already have a qualified retirement, it could be a little bit more work on your plate. But you do get that annual or that $300 filing fee waived. So I really recommend doing this. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. If you want to know more information about this, there is actually a pretty good FAQ section where they go into specifically how this works, what kind of retirement options they have available there. For the employee side of it, they have the savers one, which actually is for the employee side to figure out how much they can contribute, what kind of investment options, what the fees are, and taking money out of it. I'm sure that this is going to change and we'll update people as we kind of know more details about it. But the big reason why I wanted to get this out there, even though we don't have, exactly all of the information on how this works, is to just remind people that December 1st deadline. Make sure you register for it. Make sure you get that exemption. Make sure you're not just thinking about your shop. Make sure that you're thinking about all the other LLCs that you might have, especially if you have ones that have no employees, right? It'll take you a couple minutes. You'll be able to kind of, save that $300 filing fee and really no sweat to do it at all. So hopefully this was helpful. Obviously, if you have any questions about it, you're a client of ours, reach out to us. We'll have a little bit of discussion. We'll be posting this on our Facebook and YouTube page. So if you have some questions on it, want to throw this here in the comments, we'll kind of follow up and be able to kind of go down through some common things. Or, hey, if you've already done this and you have, some more details to add, please feel free to share, how your experience has been or what kind of pitfalls you came into as well. So just want to put this out there. Hopefully this is helpful. If you know anyone else that has a business in Maryland, save this and share this with them. This is not just for shops. This is for really anyone doing business in Maryland. Going to be something that they might need to worry about. And hey, if you already have a retirement plan or you have no employees, you're just going to be able to save money on that annual fee. So hope this was helpful. I will talk to you all later and have a great day.